Good morning, everyone. Welcome back here to the First Spiritualist Church of Puyallup. We wish you were here with us today, but in this time of COVID quarantine, we're doing the best we can to stay connected, to be together, and to walk in our faith. So it has been 6 months since we've had service. Our last service was March 8th, and here is September 6th. So we are 6 months away from the last time we were gathered together. We're going to try to have a talk put out every week for now through the foreseeable future until we're back together here in the church. As you know, our church is a small building with a bottleneck hallway, so we cannot safely come back together, but we're all here together in heart. So what I've noticed while I've been here in my COVID quarantine is that my faith is stronger than it was before. I know I've had to walk through a lot of grief of losing what was considered my normal of going out to lunch with my friends, which is probably good for my waistline and my budget. But I feel like I've lost that connection with people, and I know that there are people that are grieving, people they physically have lost, jobs they've lost, the connection that they had. So during that time of grief, the only thing you can really turn to is your faith. And most people that I'm speaking to are telling me that's what's keeping them going, is their faith. So if you're Christian, you're closer to Christ. If you're Muslim, you're deepening your prayer practice. If you're Buddhist, you're more at peace with yourself. If you're a spiritualist, like myself and most of you, you have a wider acceptance of your spiritual connection. Our spirituality is unique to every one person. One way to define spirituality is our connection that gives meaning and purpose to your personal life. For some, it means connecting with God or your higher power. For some, it means communicating with the nature world, getting out and being involved in your yard or out in the forest or even to the ocean. For others, it's creating, either writing, making music, doing art. And some still find that prayer practice and meditation is how they're connecting. Our spiritual practice during the pandemic is very personal. So our spirituality, our faith, and religion are so strong and huge components in each of our own personal life. Spiritualism reminds us that we are never alone. Spirit is always working with us to help us move us towards joy. Since this COVID-19 outbreak began, you've probably been reminded that social distancing does not mean social isolation. The same is true for spirituality. Just because you can't attend our weekly services or any of our gatherings like drum circles or classes, it doesn't mean that you're disconnected from us or disconnected from your own personal spirituality. However, if you are feeling spiritually disconnected or isolated, here's some ideas to consider. Reach out and talk. Most of us are on Facebook, and we really encourage you to connect with us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and we'll put a link for that for you. But you can reach out there and talk to anybody. You can post silly memes. If it's your cat, that's fine. It's a way to connect. You can reach out and talk to any of the ministers here. You can find us all through Facebook or through our webpage. We'll be glad to talk to you. You can attend services online. We're not doing services per se, but we're going to give a talk every Sunday. But there's lots of spiritualist churches and other churches that are offering online services. You can watch those and connect to your faith. You can connect in small group classes. There are several going on in the community in lots of different crystal shops and things like that. There's still classes going on. We are still having yoga here. Socially distanced yoga, of course. And the other thing you could do is to practice your own spirituality by praying or meditating. If you've established a daily prayer practice, that's wonderful. Continue it. If you haven't, create a daily ritual that's personal for you. I personally try to pray when my husband is off to work and I'm alone. I usually do my prayer time then, or when I'm out on my morning walk, I'll pray. And meditating. Meditating is really listening. Prayer is connecting to your higher power, requesting support, expressing gratitude, but meditation is the practice of listening. in finding this stillness and listening. So both of those things can get you closer to your own spiritual base. And getting out, connecting with nature is so important. If you can find a place, even if you're living in an apartment, you can go online and look at things. There's a lot of the parks have forest rangers out taking videos of the parks, so you can see it that way. Connecting with nature gives everybody a touch to the divine, gets us spiritually grounded. Having a gratitude practice, oh my goodness, has this changed my life. And most people I know that actually have a gratitude practice, their lives have changed. The simplest thing to start a gratitude practice is to take 5 things you're grateful for and write them down. They can be very small things, like maybe I'm grateful I have hot coffee this morning, I'm grateful I had a bed to sleep in, or they can be huge things. I'm grateful that my spouse, my loved one isn't sick, or that somebody you know that has been ailing as well. Whatever that gratitude is, you write it down, and the more you do that practice of doing it daily, you start to find more things to be grateful for. Even the most mundane things become grateful, or become a practice towards gratitude. The other thing you do is serve your community. There's a multitude of ways to do that. A lot of the food banks are begging for help right now because they are getting food donations, but distributing it is hard. And you can reach out on the phone and help people out that you know that are struggling. You can donate in many different ways to different places. There's just a simple thing about being of service to somebody else. If you are down, serve somebody else. If you are up, serve somebody else. All those things bring you closer to God. So I mentioned that it has been 6 months since our church has been open. And at that time, on March 8th, I was being honored by the church for being a minister here for 10 years, for 10 years of service. It was a special service, and it was in that I was reminded that I had been doing this for 10 years because I love it. And being a minister means that you love what you're doing in most cases. So when I was ordained 10 and a half years ago now, I was asked to put a talk together to let everybody know what I thought it meant to be a minister. And this is what I wrote then. I still feel that it's true today. What does it mean to be a minister? To minister is to administrate, or to take care of the church, its people, and to serve God. It becomes a selfless act that one is called to do. To minister is to serve. That is, that you are not letting go of your own personality, your quirks, your flaws, but you are rather working with them to become a better person, to add to whom you are. A minister is always working towards a better humanity and a better self. A minister is never perfect. They are simply people who have a calling to see that another person is before themselves. To want humanity to grow, working for God without payment or expectations, but only to make our world a better place. It means to make yourself small so that others may feel large, to encourage people rather than correct them, to share what matters most and let go of what doesn't, to ignore your weakness and praise your strengths, and to find that in others. It means to give so that others who have nothing will have some, to see that all mankind is in abundance. It means to love so that those who feel unloved may have someone who never rejects them, someone with whom they can always trust and lean on. It means to be someone people trust, that is open and honest and accepts all tasks. No easy task in our material world. It means to help when called on and often when not called on. It means to always be there when you are needed and never to press yourself on others when you are not wanted. It means to stay at peace so that those in chaos may find some calm. It means to keep a cheerful outlook so those that are easily hurt or cast down may have someone to lift them up. It means to keep your faith and keep on keeping faith even when you yourself find very little reason to believe, to go on, to continue. Keep the faith. It means not merely to live a life of prayer, but to turn your prayers into a life. A better life for you, a better life for those whom you minister to. It means to be God-centered yet human-hearted, to involve yourself in humanity while keeping your vision on the divinity, and in so doing, your example will uplift another. It means to share in the great moments of life, in birth and in sickness, and in marriage and in death, in happiness and in sorrow, and in all these times being a shoulder to lean on. That is what it means to be a minister, and to be a minister to humanity and to God, to help your fellow man and to grow along your journey. The aim of a ministry is to serve God in its church, not to fix attention upon yourself, but to shine the light of God's divinity on all of us. You will often find yourself doing the right thing, not the easy thing. You will find yourself considering other people's feelings ahead of your own, and you will see things in a new light. The choice you make as a minister sheds light into the darkness. And to quote Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter, "It is our choices that show who we truly are, far more than our abilities." A minister serves from the heart to see another man's life become better, to do what's right, but not what's popular. So today, here, we are very happy on September 6, 2020, to welcome 2 new ministers to our church. It's a little sad that we don't get to have a glorious party, but rest assured we will. Once the COVID quarantine is over and we can safely gather together, we will have a wonderful party to celebrate these 2 beautiful women. It is my honor to have them amongst the ranks of ministers here at the church and to call them friends. So Darcy Kesner Hawkins is a mom, a grandma, a sister. She's a spiritual leader of a growing tribe. She's a gifted massage therapist and healer, a published author, and a spiritual coach. But she is so much more than that, and now she's a minister of our church. Anne E. Van Dyke has a master's degree in psychology and is a retired therapist. She's a master Reiki teacher and a spiritual counselor and a personal coach as well. She is also a published author, and she's really gifted in the area of grief. She too is now joining us as a minister of our church. We are so very lucky. We are so blessed to have these 2 beautiful souls join our ministerial team. So please join us in welcoming Darcy Kesner Hawkins and Anne Van Dyke as ministers of our church, the First Spiritualist Church of Puyallup. Thank you.